Hello, internet citizens of YouTube or whatever. My name is Emmanuel Beatty, but I usually tend to go by Manny most of the time. I'm a Philadelphia-based filmmaker and editor. I kind of do a lot of things. Yeah, I'm here to, I guess, answer or say a little bit about myself and what I do and kind of let you into my world, I guess. I've been making films for as long as I can remember. You know, my dad was an animation professor and freelance animator, and my mom, she was a creative writing major in college. So I just always remember growing up making films around my house, on vacation, at family gatherings. Whenever school would be canceled because of a snow day, we would spend the entire day writing, filming, producing, editing a short film over the course of that snow day. I think one of them was called Crescendo. It's this really interesting sort of coming-of-age story about this girl who finds relief through music in this kind of very depressing time in her life. That idea of making films on snow days inspired me to create snow day media. For high school, I went to CAPA High School, Philadelphia High School for the Creative and Performing Arts, and I was in their film and graphic design program. While I was there, I made some films. Most of them were kind of non-narrative experimental films, and I submitted them to these high school film festivals in the area, and they did really well. And I say that because I was almost surprised that they did as well as they did, because I think, a lot of film festivals look for storytelling, and kind of my films were less concerned with storytelling and more about provoking feeling, which isn't wrong, but I was just surprised that they did so well and that they were so well received, and it was just such an honor to be around so many other incredibly talented filmmakers. Connecting with these filmmakers at these film festivals, it really got me excited about movies and filmmaking, and I felt like I could really be myself and be around other people who were like me and that they loved movies and filmmaking. One thing about me is that regardless of whether or not you're a filmmaker or something, I just love talking about movies with people. Just everything from the technical aspect behind them to, just fun pop culture goofiness. I don't think I really considered filmmaking as a viable career path until I saw Wes Anderson's Rushmore. I saw it when I was in high school, and I think I was also just sort of in a really similar place as Max Fisher, the film's protagonist, where I was in the midst of transferring high schools because of, I was struggling to make friends, and the reason why I think Rushmore was such a big inspiration for me was because I was feeling a lot of the same things that Max Fisher, the character, was feeling in the movie. And the character who, in the film, he writes and performs his own plays, and, I was writing films about growing up in Philly and kind of my high school experience, and I just saw so much of myself in that character, and I was just kind of I want to make films as personal as that. I think of all the parts of the filmmaking process, I think editing is my favorite part, just because it's where you have the most control, and it's where you really get to shape the film into what you want it to be. Even though I've been to film school, I still feel like I don't know how to light a scene unless it's natural lighting, obviously. That's, I think, something that I'm trying to get better at, but, you know, part of knowing what you're good at is embracing what you're not good at. Sometimes it's good not to know everything, and because usually whenever I'm on a set, there's somebody else who does. I went to an animation festival in Ottawa, Canada with my dad, and I remember seeing all these different kind of like experimental animated films, and they were like less concerned with storytelling and more about just kind of visuals and provoking a feeling. And so I kind of, that idea really stuck with me. What I did was I found some poems, and I had like, well, my mom, who was teaching 5th grade at the time, she recorded some of her students reciting these famous poems, and she gave the audio to me, and I found footage and visuals, basically just videos and stuff that I took on my phone, and kind of paired those things together. That sort of format was something that I began to carry into some of my other like experimental films and poetic documentaries. Something that I didn't really like about Hold Fast to Dreams is that there wasn't really a cohesive quality or a cohesive look to the footage, and some of the videos were like lesser quality than others, and so I just figured in order to make all the footage look uniform, I decreased the quality of the videos and just kind of make it all look old and vintage. And that also kind of like the dialogue or the recording of Ardent One wasn't great quality either, and so I sort of made that sound vintage as well. And so really a lot of these kind of stylistic choices that I've made throughout, like between these films, were really kind of almost out of necessity, and started as like creative solutions. I don't like to think of my style as something that I've like consciously developed. Like this is, you know, it just kind of like these things just sort of happen and they kind of compile into something that eventually becomes like my style. I think really what excites me about my journey as a filmmaker is just like learning as I go. I'm learning how to, you know, work with child actors and, you know, getting the proper clearances for that and making sure my crew has the proper clearances for that, and like learning how to get like a location release agreement from a landlord, which I think that probably fell through, but I'm gonna have to look at that later. I think just like the opportunity to learn more things and sort of refine my filmmaking process and my approach to filmmaking with every new challenge that I encounter along the way. In terms of stories, I generally tend to gravitate towards coming-of-age stories just because I think they're producible, they're like, you know, set in the present day, they're universally relatable but can also be like really unique as well. But at the same time, I am so curious about so many different genres like horror and fantasy. Like I would love to, you know, make like a fantasy epic miniseries or something that maybe incorporates some like coming of age elements, or like some kind of horror film. I would love to direct like a period drama or something, but you know, you never know. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I could do some documentary work. The exciting thing about filmmaking is that you can really go anywhere with it, and I'm excited to see where that journey takes me. So I guess what's next for me is I'm doing a year of community service in Portland, Maine. And so I'm hoping to document as much of that as I can. I've already met some of my housemates, so that's pretty exciting. And I'm hoping to kind of, you know, connect with them over the next few days to establish like house rules and ground rules. And then after that, I don't really know what's next. I'll probably like maybe get an apartment with like a couple friends in LA or Atlanta or New York. Whichever major film city is like not currently in distress, like LA. I know LA is kind of a mess right now, but you know, in a couple years, who knows? I think what I like about this film career path that I've chosen is that, like, I can really go anywhere with it, and I'm excited to see where it takes me. So many filmmakers that I've admired have, you know, gone on these little side quests that inspired them to tell, like, really incredible stories. And so I'm just excited to go on that journey, and I'm excited for you guys to go on that journey with me too. So I guess this is it, and signing off. All right. See ya in the next video, I guess.